As you can see, I'm doing it from the laptop. All right. Going live in about a minute, folks. Thank you for everyone popping in. Revision is spoken. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be starting in just a moment. All right. And welcome everybody to the weekly podcast that likes to shoot the shit about wrestling, and we get into arguments in the process. Welcome to the Go Home Wrestling Show. I'm EJ. Alongside with me is the guy that is the complete opposite of myself in every way possible, D Shep. Oh man, and I forgot to lower that on my phone. So there, sorry about that. All right, here we go. Yeah, it's been a long week in the world of professional wrestling, and a crazy week, if that, because a lot of changes were made, and we're going to get into it. And I know you're going to have a displeasure with one of the nights, and can't wait to hear that because we will disagree with that. But you saw there was a light at the end of the tunnel, which you saw yourself. Hey, what's up, man?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit of light.
Yeah, there's a little bit of light, but again, I know there was a little bit of anger on Monday night, and I can't wait to hear that from you. And of course, I know we would disagree, but Tuesday night show, we will get along. Also, before that, we're going to cover the TLC show, and it's brief. We're going to give our opinions, give our best out of 5. Oh, yes, dear. And I got my kid with me. Yes. What's that? Excuse me. I have to edit this out. What's that? What? What's the matter? Go ahead. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. So yeah, edit that out. 2 minutes. There you go. All right.
Restart.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Whew. All right. Let's get right into it. So basically, we're going to cover TLC, and with that, with TLC, we're going to basically give our 1 minute description of how we felt about the match. If there's anything we're going to add on, and then of course we're going to give it up to 5 stars. How we feel about each match. So let's get right into it with TLC. They started off the show. We're not going to cover the shows that were on the pre-show. Even though one of them was a pretty good match, you had the Cruiserweight Championship match. I did enjoy that, but let's just cover the actual pay-per-view. And the first one is the mixed match challenge between Jinder Mahal and R-Truth and Carmella. Of course, Carmella, R-Truth, they got the victory when Carmella got the win with the Code of Silence. Now, with that victory, both of them are in their respective Royal Rumbles at number 30. My question to you, go ahead. What did you think of the match? And out of 5, go ahead.
The match itself was okay for a mixed match challenge match. It basically is what it is. I'd probably only give it a 2 or 3 at best.
Mm-hmm.
The line at the end, we're going to Stamford, Connecticut. And Carmella looked at him like, the fuck? And for the most part, it was what you about expected. I don't think anybody thought Jinder and Alicia was going to win. So I'd say so. I'd probably bump it up to a 3. Fuck it. For what it was.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3 as well. It was it was just the usual mixed match challenge match. It was just a mixed tag. I mean, nothing special with that. But overall, R-Truth and Carmella, we said this on numerous occasions that they have incredible chemistry. Jinder Mahal, Fox, not so much, but there is something with them, with R-Truth and Carmella. They should do something beyond this mixed match challenge with them too. Because it's lightning in a bottle, like I said. It's incredible. So, yeah, I give that a 3. I will give it a 3 as well. Because, again, it was nothing special. The next one, of course. Oh, there you go. The next one was the Smackdown Tag Team Championship. The Bar versus the Usos and New Day. Now, again, we're going to get into it as far as, like, the shake-up. Despite the fact that we've seen these guys numerous times together, all 3, 2 out of the 3. We'll get into how I feel about it, but let's go with it. The Bar wins when Sheamus nails Xavier Woods with the bro kick, giving them the victory. They retain the titles coming out of TLC. My question for you, D-Shep, is what did you think of the match, and what would you give it out of 5?
If we've never seen it before,
yeah,
you could probably easily give it a 4 or 5.
Okay.
Very easily. The only problem you run into is when you see the same thing so many times, you almost have to downgrade it by default because you're not seeing anything new. You know you're going to get bro kicks. You know you're going to get New Day interference. You know you're going to get Uso Penitentiary. You know all that. And as great as all them things are, when you see it all the time, it just devalues it. Now, at the end of the day, I'll probably still give it a 3, just because you can't deny the talent on the 3 teams. But it just loses a little mystique each time they fight. But I agree with who came out on top, and that's probably about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I get what you're saying, that you got to knock it down a level because you've seen it so many times. But the thing with them, all 3 of them, is that they try to outdo each time they face each other. They try to do something new. It was a great triple threat match. Probably what would have made it better if it was a ladder match. If they had
yeah.
Imagine with all 3 of those teams, even though out of the 3, the Bar would kind of be out of place with it, but the other 2 would make up for it. It was like the Dudleys, because technically between the Edge and Christian Dudleys and the Hardys back in the day, the Dudley boys were kind of out. That wasn't something that was them, because they weren't high flyers like that.
No, and Devon especially was afraid of heights. He's admitted that.
Yeah, and exactly.
So,
and it worked. Most legendary matches in tag team history are the TLC matches, and of course the ladder match at No Mercy '99. That kind of started it all. Now, I thought it would have been better if it was that. But despite
Definitely.
that, if you take that out, it was still an entertaining match. And sadly, even though I'm putting it on the same level as the match challenge, where it was a 3. It was great, but it had something missing, and I think the fact if it was a ladder match, it would have been a lot better.
Oh God, yeah, it would have been probably a 5 hands down.
And again, not taken away from any of them because they're 3 incredible tag teams. That makes the tag team division relevant in the WWE. Let's be honest. Usos, The Bar, and New Day. All right. So we got 2 matches out of the way, and that was pretty quick. So no arguments. I'm shocked. Let's go right into the match that will probably be a little divided here, and that's the TLC match with Corbin. Now, the stipulations of this match was Braun Strowman, if he was to win, he gets a shot at the Universal title. You're there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's bad cough.
I know. Everyone's going through it. It sucks. I've been going through it, too. I'm on that freaking horror, the Mucinex cough medicine. The TLC match between Baron Corbin and Strowman. Strowman, if he was to get the victory, he faces Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. If Baron Corbin wins, he remains the GM on Raw. And knowing what happened this week, obviously, yeah. But at the time, we didn't know. That was a huge bomb dropped on us. Going into that Sunday, we didn't know what was going to happen. Of course, Strowman wins, gets the title shot at the Rumble. Strowman gets a victory when Rude, Gable, Slater, Balor, and Apollo Crews, and Kurt Angle, attack Corbin to allow Strowman to get the pin. My question for you, what did you think of the match? And to follow up with that real quick, obviously you know what the situation with Braun Strowman, he hurt his elbow, he had surgery. How do you feel that they kind of like booked this to cover that up? How did you feel about that?
I got to lump in a few different things with this and not just what happened at TLC. And normally I wouldn't do this, but for what they did at TLC, I give it a solid 4 out of 5 considering what they had to work with on Sunday. So I agree with the beatdown. Heath getting some. It was fantastic. The part where I started to get lost is when they repeated it the next night. And then the next day on Tuesday, there was all kinds of photos all over the internet of Braun Strowman without the sling.
Yeah.
So that to me, I could have lived without the sling. Maybe if not on Sunday, definitely without the sling on Monday. For what happened just on Sunday, this is the only way you could have really done it. And it made sense. Everybody got some. I didn't really think you needed that many people to do the beatdown, but okay. I didn't understand Rude and Gable, though, because they're the tag champs. I mean, what was the big... yeah, they were fucked with a little, but that one I scratched my head a little on that one, but for what they had to work with, it was solid.
Yeah. I get what you say. I do like what they did with that. Is that it was anyone that he pretty much fucked with in the time that he was constable, the acting GM. I understand adding them all to it. They all ganged up. Obviously, Strowman wasn't fully recovered from the surgery, so you had to do something. Because if not, the next night would be worthless. Because if he couldn't compete, Corbin was your GM. How were they going to spin that? So they did it this way. I think that was kind of smart. But overall, it was a non-match. It doesn't even get a 2 from me. And it's a sad because he had 2 good, decent matches that were 3s, and then this one is like, ugh, here we go. They kind of started that off.
See, let me take that back. If we're talking about the match itself, yeah, it's probably a 2. But I was talking like the whole way they had to do it because of his injury. That's why I gave it a 4.
All right. Well, and then if that case, then you changed my opinion about that, I'll give it a 3. Because it was nice how they did it. There. So, yeah, Strowman goes on, faces Brock Lesnar. Hopefully he's recovered by then. I mean, there hasn't been reports that he's even cleared for that, so we'll see when that comes. We got about a month and 6 days before that happens anyway. It's January 27th for the Royal Rumble in Arizona. The very next match is a tables match between Natalya and Ruby Riott. Natalya, of course, gets the victory when she power bombs Ruby Riott through the table. And of course, there was the table with her, I guess, what do they call that sticker thing on the wall? Fat heads. Like her fat head on the freaking table. Of course, let me ask you a question before we go into covering the match. Week prior on Raw, Ruby Riott brought out the table with the fat head of pretty much Jim the Anvil Neidhart, as you know, is Natalia's father. How did you feel about that? Because there was a lot of heat on the internet about that. How did you feel about that?
If it was like another, I don't know, 6 months from now, I probably don't have an issue at all. It's way too fucking soon, man. That man just barely died, what, 3 months ago?
Yeah, it's about that.
Like, there is no way in God's green earth, if I'm Natalya and they come up to me and they say they want to do that, there is no way I could do that soon. There's just no way. The match itself was pretty fantastic up until the last few minutes. And then we had to put the Anvil's jacket on, which I would have been fine with, but if it was just for, like, the finish. But it kind of dragged on, and she looked so awkward wearing it and wrestling for about 5-6 minutes, whatever it was, after she put the coat on.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Best way I can sum it up is if it was just a little bit with Anvil, okay, I can maybe live with that. But it just seems like they're just going above and beyond with it to the point where it's just a little uncomfortable this soon. Like, mentions are fine. Little zap one-liner in a promo's fine. But jackets and fat heads and all this other stuff and mention it every 2 seconds, it's pretty garbage. But the match itself, if it wasn't for the last 5 minutes, I probably would have gave it a 4. But because of that, I'm going to go to a 3.
I thought it was a pretty good match. Yeah, that 5 minutes. I think it was that she was getting power from her father. Like, that's her getting close to him again. I think that's what that is. That could be.
But you'd rather see that through mannerisms or something, not props, right?
The jacket could be something that is a comfort for her.
You know what'd be hilarious if she did the Anvil laugh?
That would be awesome. I'd love that.
Dude.
The greatest laugh of wrestling.
Bar none.
Bar none, yes. I'm kind of with you. I give that a 3. And you know what? It's more on Ruby Riott's side. I don't think this was one of her best matches. Seemed like she was a little off there. Natalya, I felt, was on her point, and of course. But it could be Ruby Riott still getting into it, being back for what, a month or so? It just seemed like she was a little off in that match. That's just me. Tables match, I've always been a fan of. But, yeah, this one, I don't think this was theirs. It shouldn't have been theirs, in my opinion.
I did like the fact how Natalya took the other two out with tables, too.
That was a good spot in the match.
To me, that one spot with Liv Morgan when she got just planted was unreal. She took that bump like a boss.
Yeah. It was a good spot. Definitely a good spot. But the end, I kind of like that whole jacket thing. I guess that's
I did, but it carried on too long for me.
Yeah. Some people have a hard time getting over that. I mean, my mother-in-law recently lost her mother, and 97 years old, and she's still like torn up like she was like 10 years old losing her mother. It's a hard thing to get over as a parent, so I can understand that. All right, well, like I said, I'll give that match a 3, and it seems like that's a growing theme throughout this pay-per-view is that it's just a 3 overall. But then you got the match with
that's solid for WWE considering where they've been lately with pay-per-views. So middle of the pack's actually not. That's an improvement.
Yeah, that is a good point. But you got this next match with Finn Balor and Drew McIntyre. Balor wins with the coup de grace after the distraction from Ziggler, giving him the victory. But, I mean, I got to ask you real quick. What did you think of the match, and what would you give it out of 5?
I'm torn on this because if there was a title involved in this, like, 3-way feud, I'd probably be a little bit more into it. But the match itself, it was kind of meh for me. Balor, I just don't care for it. The Ziggler McIntyre angle stuff has been absolutely gold so far.
Yeah.
I don't need Finn Balor in this feud. I'm sorry, but I don't need it. The match itself, I guess because of Drew and Ziggs, I can give it a 3. But to be honest, if it was just Drew and Zig, it'd probably be a 4 hands down. I got a downgrade just for the inclusion of Finn Balor, to be honest. But the action itself was pretty decent.
Okay. All right. It was a good match. I did enjoy the match. I liked the fact that Balor got the victory because that was a good push for him.
Yeah, he needed the victory. I'll give you that.
Yeah, he needed the victory badly. And getting this victory over Drew McIntyre, this might be that push that won't be so brief like it was back in 2016 when he got injured when he won the Universal Championship. So with that, yes, I like that. It was a great overall match. I'm giving that a 3-5. I like the fact that...
Do you think he got the victory now because at the end of the day in this 3-way feud that he's probably going to be the fall guy at the end of the feud, though?
No, I think at this point they're going to focus on Ziggler and McIntyre. Balor's going to go off to somewhere else with another program with his push. So he'll probably go a little bit above. McIntyre and Ziggler will do their thing, and then you'll see McIntyre go on his way up. That's how I see it. I could be completely wrong. That's what I think they had to do something. And I get what you say about the titles, too. But not every match has to be a title match, too.
No. It's just... I don't remember too many 3-way feuds that didn't involve a title in recent memory.
It's something unique. Can't hit on that. If they go without a title... Because, again, it's a feud between them two because... Obviously, you know, McIntyre was becoming like the stooge to basically Corbin, but obviously that was short-lived because of what happened, what the McMahons did. So obviously that's not going to happen anymore.
You gotta think, since we're talking about these 3 guys,
yeah,
that out of the 3, they're gonna book Drew the strongest in the Rumble. Would you think? You gotta think, right? He's got to eliminate what, at least 5?
Yeah, I'm sure he could probably get a good amount. Where are they going to go with that? That's another thing. Because I had a pretty idea at the time of who they were going to go with, and I guess since then that's been scrapped. I thought it was going to be Bryan that was going to go in that Rumble and win it. They kind of hinted about that at the Greatest Royal Rumble, so everyone assumed that was going to happen. I at this point, I guess we'll have to wait to see where they go. It could be even Balor challenging. And would they do the switch where they could allow them to go to switch brands when they do that, like they do with the women?
Oh, I'd be down. Get Balor off of Raw.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
God.
I don't.
You know, a Balor Daniel Bryan match, I could see it. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, that would be good. Or again,
he needs that.
Rollins is rumored to be main event, well, co-main eventing against Brock Lesnar. But again, things like this that get out there and keeps hammering it. You see all these people reporting it, and then WWE is like, you know what? We're not going to give you that. They switch it up on you because it gets out there. Oh no, I guess we'll just have to see. But yeah, overall to end that, it was a good victory, good match, and Balor definitely needed this because he was pretty much in limbo creatively in the last year. So yeah, I did like that. All right, so going on to the next match was the chairs match between Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton. Of course, Randy Orton taking out all the fan favorites. That's his whole thing right now. I thought it was a pretty good feud with Jeff Hardy that ended at Hell in a Cell, even though they had a couple matches since then. But it was a good little program they had. Now it's Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton. Chairs match. Mysterio gets the victory with the roll-up. Yeah. I'm sorry, my kid's...
Oh, you're fine.
She's excited. I saw them on TV. Christmas time. JC Graphic, welcome. Of course, people that are listening to this on the podcast, we're live on Twitch, YouTube, and Mixer, so you can catch us live and talk with us as we record this episode. So when you listen to this later on in the podcast form, we're Fridays. It will vary, so follow us on Twitter at wrestling_go and MagRiff86 and DShep1979, and we'll keep you up to date of what time we record the shows, and you can talk with us. All right, so let's get right back to it. Chairs match, Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton. Mysterio gets the win with the roll-up. Geez, this reminds me of 2006. But anyways, how did you feel about the match? Because you'd be surprised with my answer.
I didn't care for it.
Really?
Well,
I'm gonna get shit.
The only thing that I started to feel during this whole Mysterio Orton feud is just it felt too similar to the Jeff Hardy feud, like ripping the face mask off, washing the face paint off. As time went on, it seemed like the same feud. Now, for Mysterio's credit, he's been, in my opinion, just on fire since he's come back in ring action. But he's never been that over-the-top promo guy or a good storyline guy. He's just the underdog. That is what he is.
Yep.
And unfortunately, what they do with underdogs sometimes is they let them win with these cheesy-ass roll-ups. And I cannot stand that fucking shit.
Oh, hold on.
It's a chair. It's a chair match. At the very least, bop him in the head with the chair, get a 619, maybe do that splash with the chair or something. But to me, the chair should have been a little bit more involved in the actual finish of the match. But for me, overall, I'm only going to give it a 2 because and that's only because of Mysterio. There is the old saying, Randy Borton, and this was kind of boring. So, 2.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, this is why the new version of the show is going to be better. I disagree with you. I think it was a good match, great psychology. The whole idea is he took his identity. Yes, Jeff Hardy was the face paint. But really, we know what his face is. Even though Rey Mysterio has been exposed back in WCW. But that mask is tradition. And that's huge with the Lucha wrestling, okay? The Lucha Libre wrestling. And with that being said, I like this one. I was more invested with this than the Jeff Hardy because, again, you're really taking his identity when you take away.
Oh, out of the 2, yeah, definitely was more invested in this. But the fact is, for me, as invested, maybe that's why I'm a little more disappointed, is because they felt like they did too many of the same spots for my liking that they did in the Hardy feud. If they did these feuds in reverse, I probably would have a totally different feeling about it.
Yeah, I give it a...
That's the feud I wanted. Remember when Mysterio came back? I wanted Mysterio versus Orton, but problem is it kind of felt like Orton versus Hardy again, even though it was Mysterio.
Again, and that's the thing with him is that with Orton, he's going to take away the thing that fans like it. Because, again, the mask, that's his identity. The fans like him. He's going to take away that identity. That's his thing. That's what he did with Jeff Hardy. But
do you agree that should be Orton's new thing, though, taking away identities? Yeah, it was cool for the first feud with Jeff Hardy, but do you think that's really going to catch on with the fans stealing identities? Do you think anybody's really behind Orton anymore like they were 2-3 months ago?
Not as much. I think if they could do it a different way. I did kind of like how dark the Jeff Hardy one was, though. With that ear thing, I still cringe at that.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, I still cringe
at that. The problem is, when you have a guy that's just stuck in a niche like Orton is,
yeah,
you don't have that variety. Like every feud, it's like I'll equivalent to like when you listen to a band. Popular band back in the day was Goo Goo, or what was Goo Goo Dolls or Go Go Dolls or whatever the fuck that band was.
Yeah,
or Creed. Creed's probably a better band for comparison.
Yeah.
Every Creed song sounds the same.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you on that
one. That's where Orton is with these matches and feuds sometimes. It's sad because the guy's hella talented. Let him branch out and find different ways to steal identities or make it so that you feel like you're watching something different and innovative. But it is what it is. There's like only so far he can go with it, and it just bottoms out.
All right, honey.
Oh, you're fine.
No, no.
Don't worry.
Yes, and it's gonna be that way. You staying there, sweetie? Oh boy. All right, hold on. There you go. There you go. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, no, you got to come up with something different then. I get what you're saying with that, because if you're going to continue with this whole feud, like this whole angle, you can't just. Honestly, I think it was better for Rey Mysterio if he was going to do that identity thing. He shouldn't have done it with Hardy. He should have done something different with Hardy. Because ripping off the mask of Rey Mysterio is a lot better than taking the face paint off of Hardy. Hold on, honey.
Oh, definitely.
Anyways, I give that match a 3-5. I know you're going to give me crap. I do like the finish, though, because it doesn't always have to be a finisher. That's the one thing. One of my favorite matches from this year. Hold on a second. Can you hold on? Let me take care of this.
Okay.
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
That man fucking sucks. Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm back. I'll post that out. 28. All right. She just wanted something to snack on real quick. Anyways, yeah, going back to that, I'm going to give that match a 3.5. I do like the ending. Doesn't always have to be a finisher. Like I said, I was getting into it before my kid stopped me. Was that my favorite match from this year was the NWA Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis, because it wasn't a typical ending. Like, it wasn't a finisher. It wasn't a crossroads. It wasn't Aldis's finisher. I forget his finisher's name. It was a roll up. It was pretty much the same ending as SummerSlam 92 with British Bulldog and Bret Hart for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, see, the only problem there is the two matches you just mentioned were standard, normal matches. I don't want to see a fucking roll-up in a glorified no DQ match.
Oh.
That's my issue.
Oh, but again, yeah, it's TLC. Everyone expects all the high spots. That's the other thing. I mean, that's the problem. This is, as much as I love DCW, but it's that perception that you got to go to this limit of just doing outlandish shit throughout the whole match. You got to remember, you got to have psychology in the match. And the psychology, obviously, was Randy Orton taking away his identity by ripping off the mask. The whole angle is that he's taking out the fan favorites. The chairs match is the least of the fucking point. It was just thrown in there because it's a TLC pay-per-view. That's what I liked about it. And I did like the ending because it was something different. It wasn't a 619 with the splash. It wasn't a 619 and gets the pin. It was a roll-up the same way he beat him in a Royal Rumble back in 06. And it was the same way he won the title back at WrestleMania that year. It was things like that. Again, in the land of the Giants, he's a small guy. You got to do what you got to do to get the victory. And that's what he did. That's why I liked it. So, again, we may agree or disagree. That's my point to it. You may see it differently. So, it is what it is. And that's the beauty part. We're allowed to have our opinions. All right, so moving along from Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton, going into the Raw Women's Championship match. Now, you got the Knockout Queen, Nia Jax, challenger Ronda Rousey for the Women's Championship on Raw. My expectations were low for this, but surprisingly, I was shocked. But Ronda gets the victory, making her tap out with the armbar. I got to ask you, my friend, what do you think of the match? And what would you give it up to 5 out of 5 stars?
I want so bad to give it at least a 4, but I got to go with a 3.5. And that 0.5 deduction is because of Nia Jax's sour puss, fake crying face towards the end of the match. Nothing creeps me out with a diva or women's wrestler right now than Nia's fake cry face. Oh my God, it makes my skin crawl. Ronda, I don't know why people are still so upset with her. She does nothing but improve each and every time she's out there. Now, what I don't understand the hate is you watch Ronda, then you watch all these other females, right? You know who's botching the least right now? Is Ronda.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she is very athletic, so yeah.
That to me puts her just on another level. She's right up there with Becky, and that's why we all want to see that match so bad, because they're the 2 top dogs right now. And you don't see the botches. I did think there was going to be a little bit more interaction with Tamina in that match, but for some reason she really was more of a back burner. But overall, I give it a 3.5. It was what you expected it to be. You weren't going to get blown away.
Oh, I'm shocked that we're actually going to agree on this one, too. Yeah, I'm giving it a 3.5. And to your point about Ronda, yeah, she is not botching a lot. And I said this before, and this was an episode I did with Magriff and not you. And the point I made is that in the first year in the WWE, very similar as far as catching on, having that great matches, and the impact that she's had on the roster is very similar to Kurt Angle back in 2000.
Man.
And the only thing that she could do that would be better than Kurt Angle is if she goes into WrestleMania in the first year and main events it. Because that was something that Kurt Angle should have did back in 01. But instead, I guess they didn't have too much confidence in him and gave it to The Rock to face Austin. Even though later on that year, Austin and Angle would have great matches. But at the time, I guess they weren't too confident. So if she was to pull that off, I would say, in my opinion, and you may agree or disagree, that could be the greatest first year in WWE history. No one could probably top that.
Yeah, and the fact, like, I said with the botches, you throw that in there too, that she's not even botching. I don't know how you could even argue that she's got to be the superstar of the year, bar none.
Yeah.
Besides, her and Becky are the top 2, I say male or female in the company right now. No one expected Ronda to be this fucking great this soon. There's just no way.
And people were knocking on like her face, like the angry face. But you even seen the progression in that.
Well, let's put it this way. Which face creeps you out more? The Ronda scary face or the Nia crying face? That's just my opinion. You still there? Did we lose connection?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Sorry. I accidentally knocked out my mic. Yeah, that would be considered the greatest first year ever. And, yeah, going on with she's been flawless. She's been flawless as of late. I mean, the arm bars in the beginning were a little scary, the way she was just throwing those divas around, like Alicia Fox. And the way she was throwing out the other ones, like Alexa Bliss in her matches, the way she would throw her around. But again, they were not botches. It was just how she would throw them around.
Yeah.
Again, coming from where she came from to where she is now, I mean, I can see. But again, overall, she is catching on pretty quick. You can see it. It's great to see. Obviously, you're going to see her on Smackdown next year because they're going to Fox. Fox wants her there. They already said that. A lot of the big stars are going to go there. And so, it seems like they're going to swap with Raw as far as the main guys going on SmackDown, and the ones that could be there are going to be on Raw. All right, so let's move along. We went from a pretty good Raw women's match to, wow, great match in my opinion, but we'll get into that. The WWE Championship, Daniel Bryan in his first defense going up against AJ Styles in his rematch for the title. Last time these two faced each other was when Bryan turned heel and got the victory right before Survivor Series. Here we are, a little bit over a month, and we get the rematch between the two. Bryan gets the win with the small package. Another victory that was very odd, but I still liked it. So my question to you, because I know you might have a problem with that too, like you had an issue with Rey Mysterio, but I could be wrong. What did you think of the match, and what would you give it up to 5 stars?
This match, I was actually okay with the roll-up finish.
Oh, you were okay.
I,
All right, cool.
I would have been even more okay had they not done it once just a couple matches ago. But this was a regular wrestling match. There wasn't any kind of stipulation going on. And you were still sitting back waiting for the flashy finish. And when you got two kind of smaller guys out there, this is a spot where you kind of would expect a roll-up finish. So I was actually okay with it. And the action was solid, back and forth. I don't know how you give this match anything less than a 4, to be honest. It was two of the best wrestlers in the company. It was a decent finish for the type of match they were in. So, yeah, I'm good with this one.
Dude, it was an incredible match. I was on the edge of my feet. This is like, it was the textbook match as far as everything. Bryan, a lot of people are giving him hate as far as his character, this little environmentalist. But if that's his way of getting heat, which, dude, he's getting legitimate freaking heat. It's not like a forced thing. He's getting legitimate heat from it. Not to the level of Ciampa, though. But, again, this is a guy that created the Yes movement. This is a guy that was over big time.
I do love the fact they call him the new Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
That's innovative right there in itself. Nobody's ever tried anything like that I can recall.
And it's attention to detail. That
you know what? I'm gonna bump mine up to a 5 because I really can't get nothing to complain about that.
Well, I was going to go 4 or 5, but yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm giving it a 4 or 5 because it was an incredible match. I was speechless watching that match. It's matches like that. It's like it makes you fall in love again. You could be angry with the product, and then you come across this match. It's like, yeah. It's just like when you're dating or even married to your wife. There are gonna be times where you argue and you be like, "Why did I marry this bitch?" And then she does something nice, like, "No, let's keep it PG." It does something nice for you, and then you go, "Oh, yeah, this is why I got married. This is why I married her. This is it like that." As much as you can be angry with the product, it's matches like this that make you fall in love with the product and wrestling in general. So I give it a 4 or 5. Then you follow up the WWE Championship with the Intercontinental Championship. And the expectations were high because these are two great wrestlers. Very odd storyline going into it. But I actually had expectations of the match exceeding my expectations of possibly being the show stealer. But my question to you, because I know we may agree on this, what did you think of the match and what would you rate it out of 5?
See, unlike a lot of people, with this storyline being as bad as it was, I didn't go into this with high expectations. I actually came in very, very low because the story was hot garbage. It was. And I'm not going to sit there and downgrade a match just because the crowd wasn't into it. The crowd wasn't into it because the storyline was garbage. Was I sitting here on the edge of my seat going, oh my God, like the Daniel Bryan Styles match? Absolutely not. Because I wasn't into it because of the storyline. But if you take that all out and you just judge the match itself, I don't know how you give it any less than a 4. Because these two are two of the top performers. There wasn't botches that I can recall in the match at all. Yeah, you didn't feel that Randy Orton psychology, really. You didn't feel the storyline going into the match. But the match itself, there wasn't really much wrong with it. And the only reason I'm going to say it's a 4 and not even a 5 is just because of the storyline. And there was no story really being told in the match either. So that's why I give it a 4.
Okay, well, this is where we're going to disagree. I actually give it a 3. Mainly for the fact of the psychology. That, again, I did like the finish. Obviously, like we said, they're probably going to have Rollins going in the Rumble, win it, face Lesnar for the title. That's what's rumored. We'll see if it gets to that point. But, yeah, I agree with you. The storyline into it was garbage. They could have went so much better with it. It could have been as simple as, I'm the better one of the group. It could have been just as simple, I'm better than you. I broke away because you held me back. I'm better than you. And I'm going to show you that I'm better than you when I beat you for the title. Plain and simple. You didn't have to go with this germaphobe, act like fucking Monk, and play like, oh, all of a sudden that you're coming through the crowd, now you're afraid of the crowd. That killed it for me right there. Now, as far as the match, yeah, it was pretty good. Psychology wasn't always there. And I don't count on the crowd because the crowd fucking annoys me. It was a good match, but it missed something. It really missed something for me to give it a 4, even possible a 5. But given by that match, I'm glad it's hopefully going to be a one-off. Rollins focus on that Universal title. That's what I want him to do. That's me. It's time to give this guy what he deserves. And Ambrose, we'll see what he does. But to me, it could be a one-off. I guess we'll see as it gets closer to the Rumble. And then after the Rumble with the results. And that's when we'll find out what they're going to do with that. So you had a great WWE Championship match. You had a decent IC title match. And then you got your main event. That TLC match for the Smackdown Women's title between Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Asuka. Now Asuka wins the match, becoming the Smackdown Women's champion. When Ronda Rousey came in, you had both Charlotte and Lynch on the top, fighting it out. One was going to go down, the other one was going to grab the title. But neither got that because Ronda came in, pushed the ladder over. They fell down, giving Asuka the opportunity. She seized the opportunity, and here she is, the SmackDown Women's Champion. My question to you, what'd you think of the match? What would you give it out of 5?
5 out of 5, and I don't even have to think about it.
All right.
It was the match of the night, even before Rousey interfered. Mm-hmm. But then you throw in the icing of the cake of Rousey interfering. Great way they did that to get revenge on both of Becky and Charlotte. Mm-hmm. And then the shock factor of letting Asuka win. I don't think anybody was banking on Asuka to win. No. I don't know how you don't give this a 5, to be honest. I really got no complaints whatsoever. Go ahead.
I'm with you. Actually, we're agreeing a lot more than usual. That's unlike us. Yeah, I give it a 5. It was a great match. I kind of had an inkling that it could have been Asuka because they threw her in. And what you're seeing with Ronda going to SmackDown, how they're going to do it.
But generally, the throw-in person to a match like that, when they go from a regular match to a three-way, usually the throw-in person rarely wins.
Didn't Charlotte win a couple months ago that way?
Oh, I hate to... Yeah.
Oh, no, you're probably right, but recently that's what's happened. That's been a trend, obviously, because Asuka did it. But it was a great match. It was just really good. Yeah. Every angle. And, yeah, there was a lot of psychology. And, again, when you got a high-spot match like this, psychology is probably second, especially to the, the Uber fans. They're into this all TLC match, and fuck the psychology. But there was psychology. And the fact that you continued on to what happened from the Survivor Series. They did not leave that detail out. That was perfect right there. Ronda coming in, not only screwing over Flair of capturing the title, but then costing Becky her title. And where they're going to go from there is the exciting part. Going into Royal Rumble, going into WrestleMania. Who is going to face who? Who's going to be the main event? Because obviously, given how great this main event was, I can just imagine how WrestleMania is going to be in April in New York.
Well, see, that's the thing. They threw a weird confusion curveball to that I really wasn't expecting this morning. when I first got up this morning, they announced that it's going to be Asuka versus Becky in a solo match at Rumble.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I honestly could see a triple threat. If they have some way, somehow, pull off what they did back in 94, what they pulled off in 05, and I think one other time they've pulled that off, where they have both of the last two participants of the Rumble go out at the same time. If there's some kind of way they could pull a triple threat, that could happen. And it could
I'm curious to see, how do we get to Becky versus Ronda at Mania? How do we get there?
Oh, Becky could win the Rumble.
Well,
they could challenge for the title.
How's Becky going to win the Rumble if she's in a title match that night? That'd be odd.
At Rumble? At Rumble?
Yeah, she's in the title match versus Asuka at Rumble.
They mentioned that. Did I
yes.
miss that?
This morning.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
That's why I'm confused this morning. That's why I called it a weird curveball.
Oh, I missed that. I'm sorry. And then
that's okay. It was just announced this morning.
Oh, all right. Wow, how would they do that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when they do elimination. Have we had a women's elimination chamber yet? Is that what we're going to get in February?
Could be another first. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see how we get to Ronda versus Becky. That's all I think most of us care about at this point.
I think there could be a way you could do a triple threat.
Yeah?
I mean, Road Dogg is a good writer. We can admit that, okay? I'm sure he can find
So maybe have Charlotte win the Women's Rumble, have Becky drop the title at Elimination Chamber, and then somehow get Becky versus Charlotte versus Ronda at Mania?
You mean Ronda? Or have Becky win the title? At Rumble? Was it? Wait a minute, hold on. I got lost here. You said Becky dropped the title.
Have Charlotte win the Women's Rumble, challenge Ronda at Mania, and then somehow get Becky in that match too.
I'm sure, again, somehow, somewhere they're going to do it. It would be money. Having Becky involved in any way would be money. If it's a triple threat, I think that would even be better. Because you saw what they did with Asuka. Okay? And again, it has that potential to be that triple threat match from WrestleMania 20 with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chris Benoit. I mean, at least I think we could all agree that was an incredible triple threat match for the title. This could be even better than that. You got Ronda Rousey. Again, we already discussed how she's improved so much, potentially had the greatest first year in WWE history, going up against Charlotte Flair, which second generation, she's already going to be a legend of her time too, just like her father. And then Becky Lynch, which is lightning in the bottle. Actually, it's a second coming of an Austin type character. You're seeing it again. This is awesome. We saw this 20 years ago, and we're going to see it again. How they're going to do it, it's only time to tell, man. It's the only thing I could say. But I give this match a 5 as well. It was an incredible match. Great psychology. In a high spot match, it was just incredible. All right, so let's get into a few questions, and then we'll go on to Raw and SmackDown. 1, how would you rate the pay-per-view from 1 to 5?
4.
I give it a 4 as well. It was pretty good. Canadian Santa, welcome, and he knew Yokozuna. That's awesome. Great wrestler. I did enjoy him in his mid-90s run into WWE. Which match you felt stole the card? Obviously.
Yeah, to be the main event.
Main event, yeah. Which match was the worst of the night, in your opinion?
The Rey Mysterio Orton.
I think the Mixed Match Challenge. Best individual performance. We got to go there.
1A, 1B, Becky and Ronda. I can't pick just between the two.
Daniel Bryan.
Sorry. I was thinking Daniel.
I had to go with Bryan on that one.
I was close to saying Daniel.
All right. Well, now that we're done with that, let's go right into it. We're done with TLC, and it is now for the Raw Weekend Review. And right away, folks, there was a big thing with Vince McMahon coming out and dressing the WWE Universe. And everyone thought it was obvious. Oh, Alexa Bliss is human, the new GM. That's been rumored. Everyone thought
I
that.
didn't think that at all.
I actually thought it was going to be someone as a new GM, possibly a Matt Hardy, and he could have been used as a pawn to get people speculating that it could have been possibly him. But instead, you were surprised with this. I'm going to play this for you, and this is courtesy of WWE.com. And obviously, you can hear this, and I have to say that in order. Because now, oh yeah, let me remind you, people, we're on Spotify as well now. So you can follow us on Spotify. You can follow the show. Here, let me mute that because they got the freaking ad. So I had to preface that. This is from WWE.com. Let me get it to the point where I want to get it to. It's a couple minutes. Let's play right now.
A very good job for you lately. We haven't been doing the one thing that my father has always taught us to do, and that's listen to our audience. We've let middle managers air their petty grievances. We've been suffocating our superstars, and all of that is going to change, and it starts tonight. We're off to a fresh start.
The days of absentee management are over. As of now, the four of us will be taking back Monday Night Raw.
And that goes for Smackdown Live as well, because the four of us are personally responsible to ensuring that all of you have the best possible experience that there is.
We're going to empower our superstars.
Oh, we acknowledge him that he knows you, because who knows? What more do you want? Okay, you knew you.
What you want.
What kind of engagement do you want? You said you knew Yokozuna. We said, yeah, that's cool. I mean, we got a troll in the chat.
Yeah, it's okay.
New faces, new superstars, new matchups.
New matchups, new superstars. You don't see any of that, but it's coming.
And as long as we give you less of what you don't want and more of what you do, WWE will always be then, now, and forever.
All right, and that's what you got on Monday night. Surprise in the WWE Universe. It was an actual surprise. Now, the best part of the show, because he went off on this on his game stream, D-Shep, by the way, 1979 on Twitch. Make sure you get that out there in chat so they can follow you.
That helps.
I want you to give me your opinion, because this was gold, and I am going to counter it. Give me your opinion. No.
See, the problem here is you have more to counter now because of what you've seen on SmackDown. When I gave this opinion Tuesday morning, it was based off of not knowing nothing that was going to happen on SmackDown. So this whole bullshit of promising change and new matchups and all that stupid fucking crap that did not happen on Raw. Okay, fine. You got one over. You got that shit the next night on SmackDown. Get over your fucking self. Because the change that they spoke of, you didn't see one iota of change whatsoever. Not only did you see the same beatdown on Corbin, which we'll get into. Oh, yeah, that was real changeful. Not only did you see Natalya and Ruby in the fucking gauntlet match. Yeah, that was big change, too. And then you also seen Dean Ambrose still trying to carry on the fucking feud with Seth Rollins, saying he's not done with them yet. Because that's real changeful, too. None of it was changeful. I do expect more from this storyline. I'm not an idiot. I know change is probably coming. I get that. But what they did not show on Raw, they certainly made up for on SmackDown.
Okay.
And I'll just leave it at that.
I understand what you were saying, because they didn't change everything. Like, moment one. And that was the biggest problem with the WWE Universe. Everyone on wrestling Twitter, everyone on Reddit, people were complaining, oh, no changes in there. It was the first fucking night. And give them both.
No, but you at least expected one change, right?
Yeah,
at least
I
one.
can understand that. I can understand that.
But you know where you thought you were going to get it, and I know we'll talk about it later, is Dean Ambrose's henchman. That's where you thought the change was happening, right? We all thought that, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't see enough of the change. I am excited. When Vince McMahon walked out on SmackDown, I was like, say what? Like, that was enough change right there for tonight. And then it continued on, and they gave you hope for the future, which they need to continue the hope train come Monday. You can't stop with what they did last week on Raw and what they did on SmackDown. We'll get into all that. You got to keep this change train going. And if you keep this train going, you could possibly have the hottest WrestleMania season in recent memory.
Yeah. And here's the thing. This is my opinion of what I see going on. This could all be because you're going to eventually switch the reins to Triple H and Stephanie and Shane taking over. Probably the top two is going to be, obviously, Triple H and Stephanie.
I don't think so. No, I think you're going to have essentially Shane running the show. It was always going to be Shane. And then Triple H and Steph are going to be like co-vice presidents.
Either way, it would be a lot better than what... Because we know Vince is out of touch at this point. We know that. But the fact that you could see that, like, you see it in him when he was talking about, like, then, now, and forever. It's like...
He was emotional, yo. Holy crap.
Yeah, because it seemed like he cracked right there at that very end of that clip that we were playing.
It seems like he knows it's his time to step away soon.
Yep, and his new venture is obviously the.
And that was sad. That was sad to see, but it made you feel emotionally invested in him. It was great angle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, overall, it is time for him to step aside. Going off to your new venture, the WWE product's going to be in great hands. Where you got people like Triple H, Shane, and Stephanie. They have all done an incredible job. That Stephanie and Triple H were the ones that landed the Foxtail. It wasn't Vince. He even said that. Vince wasn't the guy. Oh, God. All right. Oh, it doesn't fine. It says sound sharing stopped.
I don't know much because nothing will be as good as when Hogan slammed the Giant. Well, no, nothing can really be as good. I don't drink, man. Straight edge.
Yeah, same here. My problem is iced tea.
Oh, God, I drink way. Arizona iced tea with lemon is my go-to.
Oh, mine's Wawa because that's like the market close to me. It's like a convenience store and they have their own dairy. And it's huge.
No, I know what Wawa is.
Oh, you heard of them? Okay. Yeah, they're awesome as shit. All right, but yeah, overall, dude, it was a shocker, and I'm looking forward to it. People just need to be patient. You can't expect things done from moment one. Given what happened the very next night, come on.
No, I understand that, but you gotta agree. You gotta have a little bit though, because if you're gonna brag that hard about change, you could have showed something on Raw.
They could have did because it did change a lot of shit, like when. The president, Bush, died. He changed up the whole
Actually, you know what? The change thing that I do like that you did kind of see on Raw and SmackDown both was the immediate title rematch crap.
Oh, they did get rid of it. And
they got rid of that. And I was like, what? That? You know, I forgot about that, so I got to throw that in there.
Yeah, that was cool because, they threw that with the AOP later on that night. So let's go right into it. So, obviously... Corbin came out after the announcement. Corbin came out to beg and plead for his job. They said they would give it to him if he was to beat this competitor. It happened to be Kurt Angle. But then throughout the match, he was switching the rules, turning it into a handicap match, which all the same people from the night before came out and attacked him. Then it became a no DQ. Kind of the same shit he was doing to his opponents or anyone that went up against him during his time as GM for Raw. So, I mean... Overall, you know what happened. Kurt Angle got the angle slam, got the victory. He was pretty much done. What do you think of the segment and the follow-up with that? What is your prediction of Corbin's future? Because, as we all know, the reason he was put into this role was because he was very critical of the concussion policy. Because him being an ex-football player, he was very critical of it. And in a way, this was punishment. They took him out of that, even though I think it helped him more than hurt him. You know, he was put in this because of that. I don't know if you knew about that.
Yeah.
This came out, but give it. What do you think of his future, and what do you think of the whole segment?
You got to be not very hopeful for his future after this, sadly, because I think the guy does have talent. But the beatdown 2 nights in a row, you know how I feel about that. It was kind of garbage to me. But boy, I must add, Kurt Angle is looking bad right now. Like, he is looking so out of touch, out of shape. He doesn't look like he did last year. He looks bad.
Yeah,
and
does.
The only thing I want to add on with Corbin is that I was a little disappointed. A couple weeks ago, he named Alexa Bliss in charge of the women's division, and there was no mention of Alexa Bliss whatsoever on this show. I think you basically just threw away that storyline, which leads into kind of shocker that she wasn't involved in this calling match, but it is what it is. But it just seems like they're already disevaluating everything that Corbin did while he was in charge. And I don't know if you repackage him from here and then try a different kind of push. But this gimmick with, the dress shirt, dress pants, bald head, and all that is pretty much dead in the water now.
Unless if they could find a way to reinvent himself. I guess I would. Here's the thing. I'm wondering if this whole thing they're going to do as far as like new faces and all that. I'm wondering, the one thing I have to ask, are they going to allow them more creative freedom? Like, here's the guidelines. You got to stay within these guidelines. You got to allow these guys to express themselves. I understand it's the art of the writers, but you also got to allow these artists, because they are technically that, to, it's just like an actor. You got the script, but it's their way of interpreting it as well, if it's going to make it good or bad. When you're micromanaging, you're not allowing these guys to be themselves. So if there's a way that he could reinvent himself and allow him that little bit of creative freedom, he could come out of this and do something different.
The only thing that's also a bummer is while he was GM, he feuded with all the guys that could potentially be feuds in his new character rebuild. So you don't want to see Corbin and Balor again, and Corbin's just trying something different. He already feuded with it. So I don't know where – I think you almost have to keep him off until the Rumble at this point. And then try something new starting with the Rumble.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. We'll see what happens with him. I hope that they do something with him. I really hope they do something with him. Because he is a great talent, great guy to Mike. You've seen this whole angle with him as GM brought the best out of him, in my opinion. Given what I saw a year ago compared to now, not even comparable. He's a lot better now. And I hope to see him do something. All right, so we covered that. That was the big announcement. Of course, Corbin, he's out of the picture now. So it was the same old crap, with the tag team and all that. And then they did have a #1 contenders tag team match. And, I mean, it was so-so. But let's get into the main thing. And that was the women's gauntlet match at the end of the night for the #1 contender for the Raw Women's Championship. It started off with Bayley and Alicia Fox. And Bayley knocked out Fox. Then Bayley went off to defeat Dana Brooke. And then Mickie James got in the mix and eliminated Bayley. And then immediately was eliminated by Ember Moon. Natalia knocked off Moon, Ruby Riott, and Sasha Banks to become the Raw Women's Championship #1 contender. My question for you, my friend, and you're shaking your head, so you're already disapproving this, but I have to ask, what did you think of the match? And the follow-up that, given what you saw at the end with them both holding hands, raising the arm up at the end, going...
I thought Natty was going to clock her.
When do you see the turn? That's my question. Do you see a turn coming pretty soon? And here's one question I'm going to ask you. Actually, let me add this too. I'm sorry. Did you see her next to the Riot Squad prior to that match being made?
No.
They were. That's why I was wondering, is there a turn? Because how do you, the night before in the tables match, and all of a sudden they're saying it side by side like that? But go ahead.
Well,
I'm sorry. I kind of gave you these questions.
There's many issues that you can have with this whole thing. That issue, I did not even notice. So I'm going to downgrade it even more because of that. Because, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But then, Stephanie. I wish I forgot to tell you to get the clip of when she made the announcement for the match. You can try to look it up real quick while I ramble if you want. Just look for the actual announcement of the match. Because when she made the announcement, and don't quote me on the exact words she used, but she gave the impression that at the end of the gauntlet match, the winner was going to fight Ronda right after the match for the title on this week's Raw. Not the one coming up, but that very same show. So that was garbage right out.
Right. No, I remember that. They did say that.
That was garbage right off the bat. But then you have the gauntlet go an hour and a half. The entire second half of the show. I would have been okay if this was the gauntlet main event and the match was like maybe 45 minutes. It did not need to be an hour and a half. You could have did
I don't think it was an hour and a half. It was the last hour.
No, between the announcement, the whole match, the whole segment match, everything, the aftermath was an hour and a half.
Really?
So,
okay. Didn't seem that long.
You know, I'm okay with all the eliminations that happened. I agree Natty should have been the one to win. There was like 6-7 commercial breaks. It was way too fucking long. I lost interest here and there. Then I got back into it. It was one of those classic back and forth. 1 minute you were into it, 1 minute you weren't. It made sense. You know, I would have had Ruby win the night before and then have Natty, go over in this match. I would have preferred that. But I agree it needed to be Natalya. This was going to be the feud all along before Anvil died.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pull off the Natty heel turn unless you do a complete reversal and somehow try to generate the heat for Ronda after what she pulled at TLC with Charlotte and Becky, and you kind of slowly turn into the heel, but I don't really see that either. So I don't know where they go as far as they just keep them both face or not, but overall, it's a solid 3 for me, this match.
Yeah.
But with the misspoke stuff with Stephanie and the fact that it drug on a little bit too long for my liking, I could have lived without it, but it was what it was.
And you know what? You made an incredible point, and that actually escaped I forgot all about that. She did mention that. And when you mentioned it clicked in my head, I was like, wait a minute, you're right. She did say that. And I was trying to find a clip. I couldn't spot that. I would have to go into the actual show to pull that up. So either way, I know what you said. Maybe I could tweet it out later, like what you meant. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
Overall, yeah, no, that is weird how they just switched it up like that. That could have been a mess up on her part. But the thing I want to say is, like you said, with the whole commercial thing, because that was a question later on when we're covering Smackdown. We'll just cover it right now. Isn't a way, it would be a revolutionary way if they could figure out, like, without doing commercials. Maybe up the ante of quarter hours being, sponsored by this guy or this company or that company. Having a logo. I mean, you already got, like, the live logo and the WWE logo. Maybe have the logo on the bottom left saying this hour is sponsored by blah, blah, blah.
Or at the very least, do what SmackDown has done in the past and continue to show the match during the commercial break in a little box in the corner of the screen.
Or that too, yeah, because they kind of do it with the NFL. And they do it on SmackDown, but for some reason they don't do that with Raw. SmackDown, they do that.
Not every time on SmackDown.
No, not every time. But one thing they should do, if you're going to do that, make the fucking other window just as big. They put the commercial one a lot bigger than the other one. If you have a big screen TV, it's no big deal. But if you're watching on a phone like I do some of the time, actually most of the time, it's kind of hard to watch. Make that window a little bit bigger, my friend. But they got to figure out a way because these commercials take away from the matches. And this was, in my opinion, this whole gauntlet match was not a forced thing. It wasn't forced like, you know, the women's evolution or anything that was a first for women. Obviously, this wasn't a first, but this one didn't seem as forced, if you get what I'm saying. It was just natural. It was something, you know, good. I thought it was good overall. But the thing that did take away was the commercials. But overall, Natty had to be the winner. I can't wait to see when the turn's going to be, how they're going to do it, because you know it's coming. I mean, we were all speculating when Dean was going to do it. Now it's all speculation when she's going to do it. So yeah, I mean, it was a decent way to close off the show. But overall, what would you rate the show from 1 to 5?
2.
2? Yeah, I have to agree with you. Jesus, we're agreeing too much. I mean, this is not good advertisement for this.
There's not much to say about it. As hyped as you were for the initial segment, as the show went on, you were kind of meh.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, shut the fuck up already. Go back to Canada. Jesus fucking Christ.
Someone in chat for
like I wasn't even salty just there. Like, what the fuck?
And he's not my assistant; he's a co-host. Anyways, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. All right, so let's go right into it. Now we covered Raw. Let's go to SmackDown. SmackDown. I'm sorry. There we go.
The real A show.
Yeah, which should be the real age show. They started off the show with Shane McMahon addressing the SmackDown locker room. Hold on. And Wednesday. There you go. Sorry, I got a text. Pretty much addressing what they did the night before with the SmackDown Live roster. And then he announced, which, because you did say that they were talking about SmackDown too when they were doing all these changes. And obviously, what did that mean? Paige is out as GM for SmackDown Live. And, I mean, what do you think about that? I have to ask you that before we go any further. What do you think about them dropping Paige as GM?
I'm torn on this because Paige has been everything you want a GM to be. But when you think about change, the last time there wasn't GMs on either show, I cannot even remember when. So I'm excited to see how they play that. So as much as I'm going to kind of miss Paige, I am curious because they did hint at a new role. If that's going to be something they announce on TV or it's just something we hear about she's doing behind the scenes like a trainer or something, then that's fine, whatever. But I am kind of curious if there's going to be a follow-up with Paige at all whatsoever. Hotbed rumor that was circulating over the weekend was that she was actually cleared to wrestle again, but she's paranoid mentally to wrestle again. So I don't know if there's maybe a surprise appearance at the Rumble on the horizon or what, but I'm curious to see where they go with Paige because she's a popular enough character. I don't think you want to take her completely off TV. So I hope they find another on-air role for her, but I don't think you could have started SmackDown any better. And the fact that they did it in the like old school, it really was. I know it wasn't a parking lot, but it had like one of those parking lot feels where a guy jumps up on top of a car and just starts telling everybody how things are going to be going forward, kind of thing. Yeah. It just had that kind of feel to it, and it was fantastic.
Like Bill Pullman in Independence Day, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, going on what were you saying with the like Paige and the rumor and innuendo. The other two things that were rumored is that possibly being a third mic, putting Graves only on the one show with Raw, and having Saxton, Paige, and Tom Phillips.
I'd be okay with that.
And the other one was possibly bringing back the pre-show talk or the post-show talk at Smack. That was the other thing. They said that she's been so good with the mic that she's able to captivate the audience, which you
That's
can
what
see.
I'm saying. You can't take her off TV completely. You can't.
That's the other possibility. And honestly, in my opinion, I think it'd be better give her a shot as a broadcaster. I mean, color commentator, Can't be any worse. I mean, Renee Young is pretty good as far as what she did in the backstage and all that. It seems a little awkward how she is on the broadcasting booth, but again, that's
I think
because
Paige will be better.
Well,
because Paige coming from that wrestling background too would only give her another head start on someone like Renee when it comes to that.
Also, yeah, you do make a good point because she has given bullet points. She's given a script. She can feed off that a lot quicker than someone that isn't so much. Renee Young has done that too, but I think it's a difference between a wrestler and a broadcaster. If you get what I'm saying, there's a big difference. So I think that will cross over to that. Look at Corey Graves. I mean, look how well he does. In my opinion,
yeah,
probably one of the best they had in years. He's so freaking good. And there's always that one line that gets you. I think it was TLC. Corey Graves said, Daniel Bryan inspired me to go green. I'm having solar panels installed in my house this week. It was like things like that. Just they threw it out there. It's like King.
I don't know if I would want to lose Corey on SmackDown though, because that shit he does with Mandy Rose is just pure gold.
And then which one do you think? And then who do you think should go then? Byron?
I don't know.
Or whack him and put him in another position and where she could go.
I don't know. But did you see all the interaction between TLC and SmackDown with Corey Graves and Mandy? How he was going and all that stuff. It was pure entertainment, man. He's fantastic on SmackDown.
Is that his wife?
I would personally, if I was going to shake things up, I would take Corey off of Raw, move Byron over to Raw, and then have Paige, Corey, and Phillips on SmackDown.
You know, in my honest opinion, I think Corey keeps it listenable as far as the broadcasting on Raw. I never liked Michael Cole. Never was a fan of Michael Cole.
No, but if you're going to shake things up and you got to find a spot for Paige, Paige has to be on SmackDown, and I don't think you can take Corey off SmackDown.
Well, I guess we'll figure out what they're going to do. I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what they would do with him. Okay, so we got our feelings about what they did with Paige, and talked about what possibly we could see her do next. Let's go right into right after that. They went into Becky Lynch coming out and addressing the WWE Universe. Obviously, she went off about what happened the night before, and then Charlotte Flair came out, voiced her opinions. They went back and forth, and out came Asuka. Asuka pretty much saying, I'm the champion. It doesn't even matter. I'm the champion. Both of them, of course, going, you didn't beat me. You didn't beat me. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that was the best part of that whole fucking promo.
But
you know what's funny? They said, you didn't beat me. You didn't beat me. And then Asuka just looked at him and smiled like, does it not seem like Asuka always snorts a shit ton of coke before she comes out to the ring?
She is very energetic. And that's a good
Holy
thing.
buckets.
It's a good thing. You need something like that. But you know what? It was a pretty good segment. But the most shocking part is something that you haven't seen much in years. Vince McMahon shows up and announced the SmackDown Women's title match. But it wasn't with
the butt
Becky.
Off.
It wasn't
the battle of the butt smash.
Yep. It was Naomi. And going on with that little missile, it's creating opportunities. When was the last time she was put in this position? So that was a good thing. But going into the match, Asuka, Naomi, SmackDown Women's title on the line. Asuka does get the win with the Asuka lock. My question to you is, what do you think of the match? And what do you think? Like, right away, bam, they came right out. Like, here's an opportunity. Boom.
I don't know how you can complain about anything from this because the segment alone was funny. You had your zingers in you. Then you had shock factor with Vince. And then you had a decent women's title match. I don't know how you go anything 10 out of 10. This was as scriptedly perfect of a segment / match that you could possibly have. Eh. No, this was done perfectly. No, this is a big thing. The Good Brothers. Yeah. Again, I don't know how you can complain with anything you saw here. The segment, the match. Maybe I wasn't the biggest fan of Sanity at the end with the DQ and the attack, but everything else was so fantastic that I didn't mind the Sanity thing either. And we hadn't seen Sanity in a while either. Besides, I think when Nikki Cross had that SmackDown match a few weeks back or a month ago or whatever it was. But top to bottom, again, I think they knocked it out of the park. And rumor has it that you're also going to get War Machine on SmackDown. That's the hotbed rumor. So you want to talk about your tag team division on SmackDown, all of a sudden you got Usos, New Day, The Bar, Gallows and Anderson if they're back on TV now, Sanity, then War Machine too? Oh, my Lord. Well, I don't know how you don't like it. I mean, this was what we've all wanted to see for quite a while. We just thought all along we were going to see it on Raw first before SmackDown because SmackDown, was so lit as it was. Uh, but this perfect. I ain't got nothing bad to say here. Yeah. War. Oh, sorry, I got the confused because there's War Machine and War Raiders, isn't there? Every whatever. I get confused with all these. The two guys they showed in the graphic. Me too. But dang, you know what? And then you bring all them teams together on SmackDown. Now you can actually get excited if you see a tag team tournament because now you could have Usos versus the Machine or whatever the fuck. I already forgot their name again. Uh, but then you can have Gallows and Anderson against the New Day. There's so many different matchups you can do in a tourney now. Even there you go. That that'll help too. I wouldn't put the top teams on there. I would throw all your Gallows and Anderson, your NXT teams. I would throw B Team on there, Ascension on there. Throw all your mediocre tag teams on there. No, mediocre as far as standing in the company. That's all. I wouldn't throw somebody like the Usos into it. They don't need that. There's no reason. If you put the Usos in the Dusty Rhodes Classic for tag teams, they should win the fucking thing then, right? You would think. So that's why I don't want them in there. I don't want that heavy favorite in there. Yeah. And between Rockers and Demolition and Heart Foundation, I mean, I could just 2 out of 3 falls. Heart Foundation and Demolition was probably the greatest tag team match ever. Yeah. Yeah. At first, I wasn't a big fan of it, and mainly because I want that spot for Buddy Murphy. But then the more I thought about it, this is trial by error. If this situation works out with Ali, which all signs are pointing to that so far, I must add, then it's going to lead to more guys from 205 Live eventually jumping to Raw or SmackDown. And as long as this helps get Buddy Murphy on one of the big shows eventually, then I'm completely okay with it. I think it's fantastic that Ali even pinned Brian. Like, that was like, what the fuck you were like?
Yeah.
I don't know how you complain about anything here. Yeah, 10 out of 10 again.
It was an incredible match. Definitely an incredible match. My only thing, I like the fact that they're adding people from 205 Live. Because there's some that are a little bit over that and could be on the main roster. This is one of the guys, obviously. Buddy Murphy's another one. Eventually you'll
Drew
probably
Gulak.
when he, yeah, Gulak as well. You're probably going to see most of these guys probably coming in because if they're getting a little bit heavier, if they're not, because let's face it, a lot
You
of guys
almost
on the
have
main
to.
roster aren't big guys. Okay, they're all about that size now. It's not that steroid. It's not like a Scott Steiner.
Well, and SmackDown's a little bit more towards that smaller size.
Yeah.
You got Daniel being your world champ. You got AJ, not the biggest. You got Rey Mysterio. You got all these smaller guys to have these fire matches with some of these 205 guys. And it's a good way to try them out. And if they get over, like, the crowd was hot for Ali. So
Yeah.
what do? The very next week, they announced that he's on the roster. Now, if that first match went bad and he got no reaction, do they announce that this past week? Probably not.
No.
I think it was a test run, that first match. It went good, and it opens the door for future guys to make the come up. And even though I don't like 205 Live, you can't complain about that. I want to see them guys on my TV more. I don't want to go on the network and watch all these guys against each other. When you get a bunch of them mixed up on the main card, it just has a different feel to it. And I know, you got talented guys over there. I'll never dispute that. And
Yeah,
I hope this opens the door for more of them to make the come up.
All right. Well, here's the thing I got to say about that. The 205 Live. One point you said, all right, that trial run, and it worked out. But the next thing, I think what started it, and I was talking with someone on Discord about this. What started it, I felt, was the Brian Lesnar. Look at the size difference.
That match was gold.
And it was good, and it gave that people a sense of, like, oh, a small guy could beat a big guy. Like, he took Lesnar to his limit. That was probably his best match since returning in 2013.
Well, it's been so long since we had them small guys going against them big guys when Ray used to do it back in the day. People forget how good the small guy can do against the big guy.
I'll get you in a second. Yeah, no, I agree with it. Yeah, you had people like Brock Lesnar and Eddie Guerrero. Oh God, hold on. Give me a second.
All right.
I'll edit this out. What'd you do? Be careful. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
You know what's funny is that my kid usually isn't this like me and like I'm okay. Now all of a sudden I go live with this and that's when she starts acting up. Sorry about that. I can edit this out.
Oh, you're good.
Where were we? I'm sorry.
Finishing up the main event.
Yeah, there was a point I was making. Oh, either way. I forgot where I was going with that. Here's my one question. Did you feel concerned for Brian when you saw that landing on the 054?
Not really, because he's taken some gnarly bumps since he's come back, and he's bounced back every time.
But that was landing right on his head.
Yeah, well, he's hit his head before driving into the barrier and the announcer table one week. I seen with one of them dives out of the ring, and that's his style, man. If it takes him out someday, it takes him out someday. But I'm glad to see that it didn't change him. But I do know we're one more injury away from being a wrap, and that's sad. But, just thank God he got back up, and he seems fine. So.
All right. Well, I was a little concerned at first, to be honest. I was like, that does not look good. But obviously, there hasn't been any reports since Tuesday, so obviously, it's nothing to it. They probably ran the test that they've been doing, and everything probably came back fine. I mean, overall, it was a great show. Great main event. What would you rate it from 1 to 5?
For that, it's got to be a 5. I really, we said that about every segment, every match. It's got to be a 5.
I would give it a 4 or 5. You have to. There was
You
some.
fucking dickbag.
There was a couple things. Well, because it wasn't complete. There was some flaws to it, but again, not as a lot better than Raw. Way better than Raw. But here's the thing. Given what you've seen the night later, because they had more time to probably come up with a better program than what they did on Raw. Overall, what do you think of the shakeup after both shows have aired?
What they missed on Raw, they by far made up on SmackDown.
All right. All right, so we gave our opinions on both Raw and SmackDown. We're done with that. We're done with TLC. Let's go right into the final segment. It is the list. There we go. Oh, all right. And in the final segment, this is the list. We give our version of the WWE Power Rankings, 1 to 5. Stop the screaming. Good God. Fucking kid. She's not crying. That's her doing that thing from that stupid show she watches. Hey. Anyways, go ahead. Go with your list right away.
Well, I thought about this one long and hard, and
Yeah.
I'm going all women.
Wow.
First time ever. We're going to go with Charlotte at number 5
Okay.
because she was A+ in everything she had to go between TLC, SmackDown was A+. Same with Becky at number 4. Becky only so low because she did lose her title at the end of the day. But otherwise, same thing as Charlotte. Pure gold throughout. And then at number 3, I got to go with Natty. Natty, she won. She got the number 1 contendership. She won her match at the pay-per-view. Yeah, maybe I didn't agree with the jacket carrying on so long, but she's got to be up there for me. And then at number 2, I'm going to go with Asuka because at the end of the day, she did win the title. And she had great matches at TLC and SmackDown. I don't know how you can complain. And then at number 1, until somebody shows me something different, I got to put Ronda. If Becky still had her title, I would probably put Becky ahead of Ronda. But just for the simple fact, Ronda's the top dog right now. She's the top champ and on the top show, and I'm going to go with Ronda.
All right. My list this week consists of, a few women, not as much. Okay. My number 5 is Natalya, of course, getting a big victory on Raw in the women's number 1 contendership for the gauntlet match for the Raw women's title. She's number 5. Number 4, I'm going with Mustafa Ali. I mean, in an incredible match, an incredible tag team match, but he's the one that got the pin on the WWE champion, so I put him at number 4. Number 3, Dean Ambrose. Of course, not the greatest of matches, but you have to admit, he won the IC championship, and he beat Seth Rollins to get to it. So he's my number 3. Number 2 is Daniel Bryan. Of course, having a successful defense on at TLC, but despite getting the loss at SmackDown in that tag team match, overall, he's just getting better and better. He had a great promo before that tag team match. Just that heel turn is working for him so far, and I can't wait to see what he does next. And finally, my number 1 person this week, the person on the top of my list is your new SmackDown Women's Champion, Asuka. Getting that big victory in that triple threat match at TLC and then ending it at the end of a couple nights later with a great victory over Naomi in her first defense. I'm excited to see what she would do with Becky at Royal Rumble, but she is my number 1. And that, my friends, is the list. All right. Well, let's bring it on home. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get off the air, I'm going to let you all know that we're going to be switching up the format a little bit. When it comes to Season 2, we're going to announce when the Season 2's date will start. But we're going to continue doing this. And then when we start, we're going to have a whole new format. And also, we're going to wait for our co-host to come back because he's going to be taking time off because he's dealing with certain personal things at the moment. So that's when the Season 2 date will air is when he'll be able to come back. But until then, we will continue to do this. Myself and D-Shep will be analyzing everything in the world of the WWE. And if you don't watch us live on Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube, you can catch us on numerous platforms now because we're not only on iTunes, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, we're on SoundCloud, and what was the last one? I'm sorry. Oh, God, I should have had it written down. I apologize. Oh, Blog Talk. There you go. And there you go. So we got all these platforms that you could be able to listen to us. So whatever platform you prefer, you can follow the show on there. I will be tweeting and tagging it on the top of our profile of all the links to way to watch us and to listen to us whenever you can. This is the normal thing. We're going to try to do it on a Friday. It will vary. So follow us on Twitter. I'm at wrestling_go. He's at dshep1979 and also MagGriff86. That isn't currently here. He'll be back soon. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. We'll Go Home Wrestling Show. You have anything to say before we go?
No, great week of wrestling. Pretty much, there's a lot to look forward to.
All right, and we'll see what happens next. We got Raw, SmackDown, and then we'll cover NXT next week, and we'll come up with a nice segment for you guys to get involved. See you next time. All right. Later, everybody.